So we're gonna talk about shifting a radical, right? Because I'm guessing that's probably what your issue is right now. So when we talk about radical x plus something happening inside of it, so I'm gonna do a y equals, and I'm again gonna kind of set up those sliders. So what happens when I add something in here, and what happens when I add something out here? So blue is my parent function. It's my just radical x function. If I make h0 and I make k0, it'll match my radical function, right? Because then those would be nothing. They would be doing no change.
Yeah.
What happens as I increase h? So like what you have is x plus 4. So watch my green graph compared to my blue graph. As I make my h become plus 4, what is my green graph doing?
Sliding.
Sliding what? Shifting.
Shifting this left.
Shifting left, right?
Yeah.
Because there was my parent function, with that being 0, and as I added 4, it went left.
Yeah.
Anytime you add or subtract a value inside the parent function, which radical x is your parent function, so it's inside the radical, that would be a horizontal shift. Anytime you add or subtract something outside the function, that's going to be a vertical shift. So I would maybe write this on your paper, the radical x plus h, then plus v, because h shows you this is horizontal changes, v shows you that's vertical changes. So then, when I make my v, well, here's the difference between the horizontal and the vertical. The horizontal does the opposite of what you think it does. So we added 4, it went left. But on the outside of the function, like my vertical, when I, what do you have? You minus 2, what's the minus 2 gonna do?
Minus 2 is going to go down.
Yeah, it shifts it down. So when it happens outside the function, it does what you think it's gonna do. When it happens inside the function, it's the opposite of what you think it's going to do. Or inside like the parent, whatever it is. So that's the same thing when we get to parabolas, and this is kind of further than what you care about. But when we do like graphs where we square things, if I do something inside of here, what's up?
We have a question about 5-9 in the notes.
Same thing here, except now my h and my v are already determined, so that already shifts it left and shifts it down. It did notice how your intercepts are the same for these two functions. Whether it's the radical function or the parabolic function, it does the same shift, whether it's inside or outside, whether it happens in the radical or in the square or outside the radical, outside the square. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the big thing of identifying like horizontal versus vertical.